Hello, everybody. Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signor. And man, Robert Downey Jr. just went on Joe Rogan and gave a fantastic interview that I'm sure most of you are already probably watching. If you haven't, go check it out. But I wanted to pull a clip from it that I'm sure will be pulled later, but I wanted to talk about it because it was a fascinating question that he asked Robert Downey Jr. himself. And now, so many years later, it's so nice to watch just how smart and mature and thought out he is throughout the whole interview, but particularly about this subject, he handles it very carefully, but also fairly. So I wanted to share it with you guys and sort of comment as we watch it. So here you go. This was the question Joe asks him on today's Joe Rogan Experience.
Do you think that you could do Tropic Thunder today? Would that be possible?
Oh, you could do it. And again, like Eddie, I look back to me. That movie to me was a circle back to my dad's movie called Putney Swope, which I highly recommend anyone who hasn't seen to see, about a black guy who takes over an ad agency in the 60s because everyone votes for him when the head of the company dies because they think no one else will. And it's about what happens when someone who is free-spirited takes over an essentially corrupt endeavor. And then he realizes and confronts his own corruption. But I remember I was probably 2 or 3 when that was being shot and when it came out, and it was so a part of my upbringing, and I just remembered some of the folks that were around my dad at that time. And so when Ben called and said, hey, I'm doing this thing, and I think maybe Sean Penn had passed on it or something like that, possibly wisely.
That's a great – I didn't know – I would have totally watched Sean Penn in it too, but clearly I'm glad we had Robert Downey Jr.
And I thought, yeah, I'll do that, and I'll do that after Iron Man. And then I started thinking, this is a terrible idea. Wait a minute. And then I thought, well, hold on, dude. Get real here. Where is your heart? And my heart is, I get to be black for a summer in my mind. So there's something in it for me. The other thing is I get to hold up to nature the insane self-involved hypocrisy of artists and what they think they're allowed to do on occasion. Just my opinion. And also Ben, who is a masterful artist and director, probably the closest thing to a Charlie Chaplin that I've experienced in my lifetime. He writes, he directs, he acts. If you had seen him when he was directing this movie, you would have been like, I'm watching David Lean, I'm watching Chaplin, I'm watching Coppola. He knew exactly what the vision for this was. He executed it. It was impossible to not have it be an offensive nightmare of a movie. And
it's true.
90% of my black friends are like, dude, that was great.
What about the other 10%?
Great follow-up.
I can't disagree with them, but I know where my heart was.
Yeah.
And I think that it's never an excuse to do something that is out of place and not of its time. But to me, it was just it was a blasting cap on. And by the way, I think White Chicks came out pretty soon after that.
Yeah,
and I was like, I love that. Yeah. I was like, that was great.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's fascinating. I love his insight there. There's one more clip I want to play, but I want to sort of react a bit. He's so right. And he's so polite about calling out the actors, because he's not calling out anyone specifically, but it is sort of Sean Penn and all the Andrew with Daniel Day-Lewis, if you sort of, but there is sort of that the character of he plays in Tropic Thunder, just the actor who thinks he's so great he can do anything. It is a total knock on Hollywood and so many of those tidy actors. So I love that he's calling it out, but I also love how much respect he's giving Ben, because the truth is that is such a hard film to make. And Ben Affleck, Ben Stiller does a fantastic job. He's a great director, and he hasn't gotten a lot of props from that. His show on Showtime was fantastic. But I love filmmaker Ben Stiller, and I love when we can see more. Cable Guy is probably Jim Carrey's best movie, underrated by so many, but those who agree, we're in a club. Cable Guy is fantastic, directed by Ben Stiller. And so I love that he's giving Ben Stiller props and he remembers that, but also realizes it was a risk. But what he says, it's what was in his heart when was he doing it from a, angry or racist or malicious or parody way. No, he was doing it, making fun of actors doing it, and so that is how he pulled it off. And when you hear him say it, it does click, and you're like, yeah, it wasn't offensive. It wasn't offensive for. I mean, it was for some people, but I don't think racism. Some people call people racist, but I think that a lot of that comes from just ignorance, right? And or hatred, and obviously connected to racism, but they're not trying to actually do anything racist. People just are assuming they're projecting their own sort of feelings. And I never saw that role as a racist role of making fun of black people in the slightest. It was making fun of actors. It was making fun of Hollywood. And so I love hearing him all about it. And I love him respecting Ben Stiller. And the other clip here I want to share to echo Ben Stiller, how great.
All the heat got deflected to Ben and Simple Jack.
Yeah.
That's what people were pissed off about. And I go, whew, great. But you never know when it's going to be your time in the barrel. You know, sometimes life just says, you know what? And I've been on both sides of that coin. Sometimes life just says, you're a symbol now.
Did you have anybody that was telling you not to do it? Were there a bunch of agents or anyone who was like...
My mother was horrified.
Really?
Bobby, I'm telling you, I have a bad feeling about this. I was like, yeah, me too, Mom. But anyway, how are we?
First day on set when they're putting the makeup on you, how hard are you sweating?
There's been a couple times. I was all the night before.
He goes on and
we were
talks
in
about
Kauai.
He talks about memorizing the lines, which is something you got to do. Go watch the whole episode. It's his episodes are always so long, Joe Rogan, but it's worth the listen. It's so refreshing to hear. He really is one of the greatest, Robert Downey Jr. He's just lived a life. You can tell he's gone through obviously so much with his past and his drugs and alcohol addiction and everything, that he's come up from it, and he is in a much better place. And I love that he does all this stuff with his wife. He seems to be in a much healthier, happier place. It's really inspiring to watch him just become the greatest. And seeing him in this episode, if you haven't really watched, he's on Howard Stern a lot too. He's a big fan of Howard Stern, and he gives these amazing interviews there as well. So it's a great. He's always a great guest and you can get him in that long form, smart conversation. And so it's really nice to hear Joe, someone just actually listen and ask good follow-ups and just sort of sit there as a fan talking to him. But they talk about the question at hand, though, because I implore you to go watch it all. And he talks about memorizing lines because then he could really be free in the character and find himself, because he is a good actor. Chaplin, he was great in Chaplin. He's given Ben Stiller Chaplin connections. But guys, watch Chaplin if you haven't, from Robert Downey Jr. It's a fantastic film. But what I want to ask the title of this video, and the thing Joe asked, could you make this movie today? Yeah, I think you can. I think you can in this day and age. I think the pendulum is starting to swing in a way where you can. But Robert Downey Jr. says it in a very important way. What does your heart say, right? There's always going to be someone in this, especially in this new culture we live in, that's going to jump down and just tear you down and say, no, I know what you're thinking. I know what your intentions are. Your intentions are wrong. Your intentions are evil. And that's the problem we live in the society right now, because people are so quick to say, me. I know better. I want the like. I want the attention. And that's, I think, the biggest problem right now in our society. And so, you know, when content comes out, there's always a group that just will get offended, even though it's not meant to be offensive. Comedy has to be able to make fun of everything, or if we hold a group or a topic or something at such a high regard that it cannot be made fun of, we're in trouble as a society. That's reality. Now, there are certain subjects and things that are going to be uncomfortable for certain people to laugh at, and there's, you know, jokes that are below the line that are disrespectful to do in front of certain people. It's a fine line, but at the end of the day, you got to separate your own personal beliefs when it's comedy. If the comedy is done from the heart of not being evil or hateful or malicious or angry, then I think you really can get away with it if it's smart, if it's funny, if it's on topic, and it makes you think about something in a new way. I think Dave Chappelle, we talked about this when he did his whole special, which was fantastic, but he really pushes the boundaries of sort of making you laugh uncomfortably, but realizing he's got a point there. He does that whole bit about the school shooting, something that's not funny to me at all. But he goes off in that joke where he's like, why are we telling them what to expect when they want to come shoot? We're giving them the instructions on how to do it. And it made me laugh in a depressed way of like, it's true, but what else can you do? That when you can get the comedy to be so real, and you can get a master like Robert Downey Jr. to pull it off and do it from a place in the heart that's not evil or offensive. I think he's spot on, and I think it's great. And so I want to make sure I pulled that clip. I'm going to have this debate longer. I'm going to do a full debate with my man Jody at Jody's Corner. I do this a show with him every Wednesday night, so I wanted to plug it too. So I wanted you guys to see the clip. Join me there tonight around 10:15 Eastern Standard Time, and every Wednesday at Jody's Corner, where I'm going to go play Ying and Yang with him, where we're going to argue about topics like such as this of can you do this movie today, and lots of other fun topics. So go give my man a subscribe. Subscribe here if you haven't already. Stay tuned for more content, and go check out the full Joe Rogan video. Honestly, this was just a reminder for you if you haven't already seen it to go watch it because it's now up online and it's awesome. It's so nice to see Robert Downey Jr. He's in there promoting Doolittle, which the critics are roasting. I liked it because my kids liked it. I think it was cute. I think it was fun. People are saying he's playing a ridiculous Johnny Depp caricature. I liked it. I thought it was fun. I liked it as a kids movie. It's a total fun kids movie. But it's nice to see him out there promoting it. I hope he gets to do something else other than Iron Man. It'd be nice to give him some other franchises. And look, this is not a critics movie, Doolittle. It's not a Joe Rogan crowd movie by any means, but it's nice he's out there trying his best because he's produced this with his wife. This is a big movie for him. He wants this to be a franchise. All I can say is my kids loved it. They want another one. I would watch it again. I had a blast. So if you have kids, go check out Doolittle. Go support Robert Downey Jr. Go check out his interview with Joe Rogan and subscribe to Jody. We'll talk about it tonight over on his channel as well. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'm off to see Bad Boys. Bye.